Hello, everybody. Excited Utterance here. My name is Hella, and today we are streaming all over the place except Rumble. We're streaming to Twitch, it looks like. Yep, I think. Pretty sure. We're streaming to Facebook, we're streaming to Twitter. God damn Rumble, I can't work it out. Yeah, but I have had to upgrade my StreamYard to be allowed to stream to so many different places. And why, you say? Why am I streaming to so many places? Because YouTube could disappear at any moment. You just never know. You never know when YouTube may be yanked out from underneath you, is what I'm learning. So, very important that we have other means to disseminate our information. Anyway, so enough of that, and time to say hello to everybody. Hello. Solomon. Good to see you, Solomon. I guess it's time to get chat-faced. Yes, indeed it is. Good to see you, Solomon. Lovely to see you. Hello, Whoopi Fox. Nice to see you. And can you get a gifted membership here? Well, I told you, you can gift memberships here, MLS God of Law. Nice little profile picture you've got there. Nice profile picture. Yeah, cool. I'm sorry, I'm just looking over at my other channels to see if they're actually working. Oh, God, I don't know if they are or not. Someone's going to have to help me with that. Hello, Snibbles. Snibbles. I don't know where Seraph is. Seraph is just, goodness knows, he's being so weird right now. Ronnie's here. Dolly Reid. We just had a lot of fun talking about OJ, and people were saying free the juice, and I thought they were saying free the Jews. I don't know. This is all new to me. Jen is here. Hey, Jen. So this morning, Goodbye Twitter was trending on top. It's weird. And that was the hashtag for the news about OJ. Oh, no, that's a bit sad. Myra, hello, Myra. Good to see you. And you like Appy Juice. Flash fan, how are you? Echo, there's no echo, is there? I can't hear anything. There shouldn't be an echo. I've not got anything else playing. Guys, tell me if there's no echo. No echo, good. Malcolm's here. Hey, Malcolm. And Laura, hello, unbronzed. I love you even though you're from Tasmania. And you'll be right there. Yeah, move it. Move your bottom. I got up early for you. There's no echo. Stop telling me there's an echo. Stop it. Just kidding. Good. I know you know Braille. Make Morse great again. Hey, Mads. All right, let's get into this. Got a big show today. And I like to try and keep this to an hour, so I like to try and keep them fairly succinct. So today we're going to be looking at, and I also try to keep them to a specific topic. And that way, especially for people who are brand new to this, they can sort of have little bite-sized chunks of the Zach story. Okay, hey Becca Lynn, how's it going? Oh, you just let yourself in. Hi, Dolly. Hey. Hey.
Hey,
That's
girl.
all right. Hey, girl. Look on. You just talked about that Bronco and Hasselhoff. Then he's gone. What are you talking about, Lokong? Oh, what you're up to? You're technically not from Tas. I'm a Queenslander like you. Hey, you went to Tasmania and now you are a Tasmanian. Sorry, I'm going to make fun of you as long as you live in Tasmania, unbronzed. Simple as that. Guys, if you don't know, Tasmania is like our Alabama. Okay. Right. Let's go. Today is welcome to part 6. Zachariah Anderson, not a murderer, an urgent fight for justice, and it is urgent because Mr. Zachariah Anderson is in prison, and it is wrongful. It is very, very wrongful, and I just use that term because also follow the Wrongful podcast. If there are any mods in chat, please give a link out to the Wrongful podcast. It is awesome. Okay, so every week I go and do a quick recap of the charges. The charges are 2 counts of stalking against this guy, Rosalio Gutierrez, and this lady here. Her name is Sadie Beecham. She is the girlfriend, or ex-girlfriend actually, of the defendant, Mr. Zachariah Anderson. So apparently, Mr. Zachariah Anderson was allegedly stalking both of these two and was convicted of such. All Zachs are innocent. Yes, they are, Zach. All Zachs are innocent. Free all Zachs. First degree intentional homicide of this man here, and hiding a corpse of this man here, the corpse which was never found. We still don't know if he's even passed away. Yes, we say it every week. It's really important that we all understand what those charges were, and that in a court in Wisconsin, Mr. Zachariah Anderson was found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of all of these things. And every week we go through the pieces of evidence that were put before that jury that made them think that. And we just go, how is that possible? How is that possible? You can't find someone if you never follow the right leads. No, you can't find someone. And it's pretty hard to find someone if they're just not there to find. That too. Yeah, okay. All right, so moving on. Over the last 5 episodes, we've followed the journey of Zach. There he is in his suite with his white shirt and his jeans. Okay, so here's the. Oh, you can read this. I like it when you read this.
Over the last 5 episodes.
Oh, hang on. Are you looking at the right thing?
Oh, whoops. Sorry, guys. I was looking at YouTube. I was looking at, the fastest, cleanest, stealthiest unaliver in the history of unalivers. That's
right. I like it when you read that. He's so fast and stealthy and also clean. Sparkles. Okay. All right. So let's keep going. Oh,
also known as Houdini.
Yeah, because he's so good at hiding corpses. Really, really, really good at it. Okay. Now he's actually just a regular guy and a dad of 3. All right, just a regular dude. Okay, so that's what we've been through over the last few weeks. And we've been focusing on many of the curious characters in this story, right? So obviously we have our lovely DA over here. I don't think anyone's ever described him as, he looks like a cockroach. I don't think anyone's probably ever described him as lovely before. We have
his wife's boyfriend.
His wife's boyfriend. We have Rebecca Jekyll, who's the best friend of the ex-girlfriend, which is Sadie. We have Netta, whatever her name is, who's Narita Messias. She was going to be on a date with the missing man, Rosalio Gutierrez, the night that he apparently went missing. And we have Michael Campbell and his girlfriend, Erica Saylor. So last week we spoke about, or we saw the testimony of Michael Campbell. He turned up at Zachariah's house a day or 2 after Rosalio went missing, just to have a little bit of a talk, just a friendly chat, really.
As one does.
He turned up with his friend. And the reason he knew to go to Zach's house was really nothing. Just his girlfriend kind of looked him up on Facebook for no kind of reason at all. Really, we don't know. The reason was actually because Rosario had told him about Zachariah, but that wasn't allowed to come into testimony because that would have been hearsay from someone who's not available to testify. And that's not allowed to come in. That's not allowed to come in for reasons of it's beyond the hearsay exception. So you can't have someone speaking from beyond the grave, as per Wisconsin versus Jensen. And they had a big argument about that. And unfortunately, we don't have time for us Wisconsin versus Jensen nerds to talk about that on the stream. But we did talk about it on the Jensen stream for a little while, didn't we, Darlie?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So, hey, Salty Dog, how are you? Good to see you. Righty. So we've moved on from that now. Gravely has a cockroach. As a cockroach just cracks me up. Cool. Okay, so let's move on. We've talked about those shady characters a fair bit. I want to move on now to something else because today, yeah, we're going to take a break from them, kind of. Because each episode we focus on something else. Focus on what was likely one tiny, minuscule point that convicted Zach of first-degree intentional homicide. Oops. Introducing the state's forensic witness, somewhat of a curious character herself. Lisa Treffinger, forensic scientist with Wisconsin State Crime Lab. Yeah, okay. So those of you who are familiar with the case would have seen her testimony probably a few more times than you wish to have. But those of you who are new to the case, you'll find this very interesting. Those of you who watched the trial the first time around may have found her to be quite credible, but I'm going to show you today why you should question that. Why you should question that. Although maybe she was under instruction to say this a lot. This, to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty. Okay, so this, to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty. Now, here's the deal. Let's just have a look at this for a second.
To the human eye, and depending on what quantity they're in?
That's correct.
Okay.
Might need to turn it up a
And
little bit.
as a crime scene analyst from crime scenes, are you familiar with the appearances of those sources of DNA deposited at crime scenes over your long career?
Yes, I have seen those.
And then when you do results in the lab, are you also able sometimes to formulate an idea based on whatever available evidence there is about what the source is of those ones that you name?
Yes, you get a general idea of what they are.
Okay. And I'm going to ask you if, as to any opinion you offer as to what the source of any DNA that we talk about would be, okay, and if we talk about whether you reach any conclusion that something is a match, whether you would please adopt the standard of to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty. Would you do that with me?
Yes.
So if you offer an opinion, would you only offer an opinion if you feel it meets that standard to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty? Can you agree to do that?
Yes.
Okay. Rather than me ask you each time, are you reaching that opinion to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty? Give me no opinion that does not meet that standard. Can we agree on that?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. And Matt, in answer to your question, hang on. That's what that should have looked like. The photo wasn't loading up properly. Where is it? Ha. Mr. Know-it-all. Couldn't help yourself, hey? Anyway, No, I would never have put white on a light background. That photo wasn't loading up. And I was like, I hope no one notices, but you did. Yeah. So focus on what was likely one tiny minuscule point that convicted Zach of first-degree intentional homicide. That's the tiny little point. Anyway, so yes. So to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty, that's what they were just talking about. He just told her, I'm going to ask you questions and you're going to answer to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty. So he set that up. Gravely just set that up. You're going to do that, right? And she's like, okay, doing that for you. Sure, sir, boss, okay, whatever you want. See?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Hey, Josie. Hey, Josie. Mad pot stirrer. That's all right. I was ready. He talks and he talks and he talks. Yes, he does. He does. Yeah. Anyway, so hello. Normally, by a standard, one would think of something objective, agreed upon in a wider community. Ha! We're coming to that. We're coming to that. So, I just like to see him like it's quite funny. Every sample they could test for blood failed so much for their eyes. Yeah. Is wrongful on tonight's episode? What do you mean? Is it on tonight's episode? What do you mean?
Oh, I think she means for David, maybe.
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
I think they are.
Yeah. I can't keep up with all the different things that are happening in Zach's space right now. There's like replays of the trial, and then there's the other thing, the barely interested, and all that kind of stuff. But I hope so. That would be great. Yeah. Oh, it is? Yes. Oh, that's awesome. That's
Awesome.
cool. 10 p.m. Eastern. Sweet. Yeah, and I think I'm coming on next week sometime, like Monday or Tuesday. Dali would be, but it's past his bedtime.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not afraid of David.
Not afraid of David. Okay. So now let's have a look at some of her actual testimony.
And is there a sticker there that was only there because the state crime lab decided to place it there to mark something that they thought was of interest?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, I'm going to ask that the judge give you a pointer.
People in the back just
Microphone.
people in the back just walked out. They're bored.
I'm bored.
Yep.
So if you could just point out where the sticker is that is of interest, so the jury can be oriented as to where we're talking about.
If you can see it, it's like right there.
Okay, so really all you can tell in this picture is a sticker showing you a location, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, but you recall that being the location that was of interest?
Yes, that was looking.
Okay, and do you remember how you came to be consulted on that particular item? Again, only if you remember the specifics.
Yes, so Alice Avila asked me about the garage. She said, I saw something.
Is that on? If it is, you need it a little closer to your, okay,
Can you hear me?
now I can.
Oh, Alice Avila called me out to the garage, asked me to look at this. She said, I saw it. It's about at my eye height. I'm a bit taller than she is. That's why I remember it. And I looked at it and I said, yeah, that's the right coloring. I think we need to collect that on one swab.
And were you concerned about the quantity in terms of decisions you made at that time?
Yes, it was a very tiny speck, like a pinhead dot of a dark stain.
Yes, it was.
And so now I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 1, Photo 314. Are we a little closer in on this picture?
Yes, we are.
Okay, and again, can you just point for the jury? You probably still can't, probably still not quite big enough to see, but is it under that little sticker?
Yeah, it's like right above there.
Okay, and at that point, was a decision made? You said it should be collected, correct?
Yes, that's
Was luminol put on it?
No.
Why not?
No, I said do not luminol this, because it's a spray, it's a liquid, it will dilute it, and you want to collect everything that's possible that's there.
And now I'm going to show you Exhibit 1, and this is number 315. Is that a picture where you can actually now, at this illumination or increase of size, I'm not coming up with the word. At this size, are you able to now see the speck visible in this exhibit?
So yeah, the previous photographs would have been called overalls. This would be what we would call a close-up. And at this close-up photography, you can see the stain right there.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't say it. 315. And are you able to see any characteristics of it once you get it enhanced in terms of its size?
Yeah, you can kind of tell that it's a reddish brown stain on that photograph.
Okay. And is there a shape or anything else to it that was of any significance to you at any point?
It was more like it was a shape that maybe round, circular, more like something that you see that would be like a splash or a spray.
So you can go back to your seat. Thank you. And you can use our normal microphone. Thank you very much. Are you the person? Are you the person then who took the swab, or is Ms. Avila the person who did that?
Julie was the one that actually collected the swab, and then she packaged it up and sealed it.
Okay, and then at that point, ultimately, you've seen it in person, correct?
Correct.
You've seen it in context. You know where it's located. You know its characteristics by being able to look at it even enhanced, right?
Correct.
Okay, and now you are going to do an analysis of it, I assume?
That's correct.
Okay, using the usual machinery and methods as best you can, correct?
That is correct, yes.
All right. So you have told us previously on other samples that you did a chemical test for blood in multiple other samples. Recall that in your testimony?
Yes, I do.
Did you do that as to A1?
No, I did not.
Okay, so why? Why didn't you, if you thought this might be blood, why didn't you do it on this sample?
This sample was so small. I'm like a pinhead size. So again, I just
Kind of like the prosecutor.
every amount that we had available for testing, for the genetic testing.
I'm going to go back for a second to number 311, Exhibit 1, 311. Did you, and I know you weren't the primary person, but did you overall take a look at this vehicle in terms of the back of it?
Yeah, I did. I looked around the vehicle, I looked inside the vehicle, and I looked in the back of it.
And do you see the whitish or discoloring stains that are located in some of the carpet that's above the cutoff portion of the carpet?
Yes.
And did that appear to be caused by a substance that there was an odor of in the vehicle, if you know?
I didn't smell it, but I recall analyst Avila telling me that it smelled.
Now, would you expect a person to clean a carpeting using a bleach?
I'm going to object as far as relevance.
She has experience with bleach and why.
Oh, she has experience with bleach. Look, I've used bleach. Am I an expert?
Would you expect someone to clean something like an auto carpet with bleach?
Not really, unless they were trying to remove something.
Okay, so it does
What?
bleach provide some advantage you're aware of if somebody does not want DNA to be detected in particular locations. Are you aware of the properties of bleach in your that would make it the right item to use for cleaning a carpet if you want to make sure there's no DNA in certain locations?
I'm going to object as far as argumentative and speculation as to why someone would use bleach to clean.
There are specific properties she's aware of.
Respect for your question.
What if any properties are there in bleach that disguise what otherwise would be DNA at a location?
So bleach removes stains and it also destroys DNA.
It also,
It also destroys DNA.
thank you.
So you're aware of other items people use to clean carpets, right, that are not bleach?
That is correct, yes.
And are those items that also destroy DNA, or is bleach the particular agent that destroys DNA?
They may destroy DNA, but in our laboratory, what we use to clean down to get rid of DNA, so we don't have contamination, is a 20% solution of bleach and water to wipe down our benches and our equipment.
So this is the item of choice of the crime lab to remove DNA. Is that right?
It is, unless some of the instrumentations, bleach does corrode, so that we don't use it on our instruments. But yes, on our bench tops, most definitely.
Okay, so you didn't do the chemical testing of A1 because you didn't have enough.
That's correct,
All right.
yes.
But did you do DNA testing to find out if it was going to be one of those sources of DNA you talked about? Hair, semen, saliva, all those things.
Yes, I ran through the.
He knows a lot about semen, I'm sure.
Items through, yes.
Just like all the other items we've talked about in this case.
Yes, I did.
Okay. And as to A1, I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 109, up here, yeah, 109, and ask you if, based on the packaging, you are able to tell that this is in fact.
Okay, so guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip over to Vilhammer's original. That way I can get the sound up higher for you.
Look at you.
30. So I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's
Is that
Exhibit
better?
39.
Much for me. I don't know about Chad.
Ask you if you recognize this document.
That better?
Yoo-hoo.
Okay. I'm just going to have to look out for where I wanted to finish it, that's all.
Yes, I do recognize this document.
And is this a document you prepared?
Yes, it is.
Is it a true and accurate copy of the report you prepared in your capacity at the crime lab as a DNA analyst that you have testified to already today?
Yes, it is.
Does it appear to be altered or changed in any way from the document you originally prepared? Other than a sticker being on?
Nope, it does not.
Okay. Judge, I move admission of the exhibit.
Objection.
No objection.
What's the number on it, please?
S-39.
39. Thank you. As we talk about this, does Exhibit 39 indicate some toothbrushes were sent to you?
That is correct.
And did you analyze those?
Yes, I did.
And did you so were those something that you looked at for instance, DNA?
Yes.
Did you also analyze item G, hair collected from a sofa seat cushion?
Okay, that's
Yes,
probably about where I
And
wanted to
H,
finish
hair
that one. So, okay, so really I wanted her to talk about the spec, and because I've swapped over from sources, it wasn't finishing exactly where I wanted it to, but that's fine. So long as you guys could hear it correctly as well as you could, that's the most important thing. So I'm just going to share this one again now. Alrighty, so moving on. And then the state had to have her explain away an email. All right, so let me just have a look at this. Let's see if I can just get the right timing on this. So let's see.
Are you familiar with an email that you sent?
It's only a minute and a bit, guys. So
back in the time period of December 4th, 2020.
Yes, I am.
Can you boost the Canva tab?
Okay, just a second.
answer to a question.
I'm going to flip over again.
Reportedly collected from a sofa pillow.
Yes, I did.
Okay, so let's briefly go through each item. As to the toothbrushes,
No, wait a minute. Hang on. 2 seconds. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Just because of the fact that I need to, just going to go to Angelina Gabrielle. There we go. An email from Angelina Gabrielle. There we are.
you sent to a person named Angelina Gabrielle back in the time period of December 4th, 2020.
Yes, I am.
There we go.
And
Clever,
did you, in answer to a question in that email, say we could not confirm it was blood in regards to this sample A1?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so how do you reconcile that email with what you're testifying today about? How do you explain that you sent an email that said those words, but this is your testimony and conclusion as we speak?
She had asked me very specifically, can you confirm that it's blood? No, I could not. I did no testing to determine that it was blood. She did not ask my opinion.
And so now here expressing an opinion that wasn't contained in the email, wasn't asked for.
That's correct.
Okay, so, right. So she, upon someone asking her whether it was blood, she had to admit, because the state had evidence, and I'm sure it was in discovery, that there was an email asking her whether or not it was blood, and so she had to say out loud, I can't be sure it's blood. But she had been asked whether or not, like it, by a process of elimination, it was blood, because was it hair, was it semen, was it all these other things? Didn't look like it because it's reddish brown, so therefore got to be blood, right? So it looked like blood, so therefore it must be blood. Now I'll tell you guys, based on other testimony throughout the court case, there were other things in that van that were reddish brown and weren't blood, right? So who's to say what it was, but could have been something else other than blood. So to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty, Rosalio's blood DNA was in the back of the van. That's what the jury heard. That's what the jury heard. I'm not saying that's what it was, but that's what the jury heard, right? And see this teensy weensy, tiny little thing. That's what it is. Can you even see it? Can you even see it? My goodness. My goodness. And she could have said all of that in her report, but let's hide the most important testimony from the defense so they cannot prepare for it. Yep, Mads. Hey, J-Rock, how's it going? Number 2, how are you? 7 over here. Are you 3, darling? Are you number 3? I didn't know you were number 3.
Am I 3?
Apparently. Hey, Luna. How's it going?
Hey, how you doing?
See you too. Let me see you. Okay, so what is wrong with this whole idea of a reasonable degree of scientific certainty? We need to talk about this, okay? Because to the jury, that sounds okay. So this is a problem, right? This is the big problem that we've got here, because we have this person here who's been qualified as an expert in the court, and she's saying that to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty, it's Rosalio Gutierrez's DNA, and that is blood. So that's 2 things that, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, everyone can disagree with me as much as they like, but from what I've seen of comments from people out in the general public, all the other things are minor compared to this piece of evidence. This is the one that sunk him, right? This is the big deal. There was the decedent's blood DNA in the back of the van. Doesn't matter how small it was. Doesn't matter that it was that big. As far as people are concerned, his blood was found in the back of Zach's van, right? So what is wrong with this wording, a reasonable degree of scientific certainty? Let's have a look. Okay, so now here's a complaint by Tiffany Roy. She works for Forensic Aid, and and it's to the administrator of the Division of Forensic Sciences at the Wisconsin Department of Justice. And you can read this in full on the Free Zachariah Anderson website. In fact, we will have a quick look at the full document in a moment, but this part here is the part I wanted to refer to. So this complaint is about the testimony of Lisa Traffinger, this lady we were just looking at, offered in the case of Wisconsin versus Zachariah Anderson. Upon review of her testimony, Lisa Traffinger reports she took a position in the quality assurance program as a specialist. With such a position, she should certainly be interviewed about her sworn statements in the above-mentioned case and should not be involved in the investigation of this quality complaint. Ms. Traffinger made several misstatements and overstatements of the tests she performed and the data she reported in the Anderson case. She makes statements, when prompted, that use the phrase reasonable degree of scientific certainty, which has no meaning in science, and the use of which has been recommended against, and she cited that as number 2. She goes on to say she can determine the source of the DNA generally by completing testing, and provided evidence through this is one of the first limitations addressed by Peter Gill in the publication Misleading DNA Evidence, Reasons for Miscarriages of Justice. Wow. The source of crime scene DNA is unknown and unknowable. Wow. Full on. Reasonable degree of scientific certainty. Dali hasn't chosen a number yet. Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay, so I'm just going to bring this thing up. This is the full complaint. And it was written to Nicole Rome, who's the administrator of Division of Forensic Sciences at the Wisconsin Department of Justice. She was, I don't know who sent her the testimony. Hang on, is that a YouTuber and blogger? Maybe it was David. Might have been David. Darling, would you mind just reading this part here? I haven't read this part here yet. Oh, hang on, just a minute. I haven't brought it up. There we go.
Miss King. The formal complaint is written to Nicole Ream, who is the administrator of the Division of Forensic Scientists, DFS, at the Wisconsin Department of Justice, DOJ, about the testimony of Lisa Treffinger in the case of Wisconsin v. Zachariah Anderson. This testimony is publicly available on YouTube, beginning around the 5-hour 40 mark of this video, and the streaming of her testimony can and should be observed. It was provided to me by a lawyer/blogger who asked my opinion of the testimony for his research. After reviewing her video tapped testimony, I had several serious quality concerns which I determined needed to be reviewed by the quality team. Normally, a complaint about quality concerns would be directed to the quality assurance manager at a specific crime laboratory. It is noted on the DOJ DFS website that there is a specific bureau in place to control and preserve efficient quality within the laboratory, known as the Quality Assurance Bureau, QAB. However, the search for a direct name, phone number, and email for the QAB was unsuccessful. This bureau is meant to uphold their quality statement, which is...
here we go. Can you see this, or do I need to zoom it up a bit?
The top part?
Yes. I don't have to read the whole thing. Oh, suppose we can, yeah.
To achieve and maintain accreditation under the international standard general requirements of the competence of testing and calibration laboratories, ISO IEC 17025, a forensic science accrediting body's supplemental requirements, and all other statutory regulatory standards required to provide forensic services and to use and support technically sound standards and guidelines of the Organization of Scientific Area Committees, OSAC registry is applicable. Quality support goals, the QB, works to uphold goals within the system of quality established by the DFS. 2. Provide high-quality, error-free forensic analysis which is able to withstand rigorous challenges. Provide impartial reporting of scientifically accepted forensic analyses. Maintain the integrity of submitted evidence by protecting it from loss, deterioration, and contamination. Provide timely forensic services to the criminal justice system in the state of Wisconsin. Ensure DFS employees are trained in the skills necessary to perform their work. Ensure continual improvement of the quality system. Fulfill the DFS quality statement.
Okay, that's
I have to
probably
punch it up
enough.
somehow.
That's probably enough. Okay. So anyway, give me just a minute. Just have to pick something up here. Okay. All right. So the last 2 quality support goals listed are meant to make sure quality control and assurance are reviewed, maintained, and updated if required. All right. So the only contact information available, blah blah blah. I like this bit. After 10 frustrating minutes.
After 10 frustrating minutes, I was provided with the email address keeneml@doj.state.we.us. I was provided the email with no name of the person who would receive that email or what their title was within the laboratory. I had to investigate this on my own after the call. Well, that's kind of messed up.
Poor lady.
She really did a lot of work and had like
she did.
And this was at like Steve Gosney didn't ask her, and like he didn't even know she was going to do this, and she just on her own.
She was so. I'm pretty sure, like from the sound of this, it sounds like
Yeah.
she was so annoyed by this testimony that she went out of her way. Yeah. Okay. All right. So Miss Treppinger made several misstatements. Oh, we've already done this. And all right. So trace DNA evidence, statements of limitation. This is the starting position. Although a DNA profile has been obtained, it's possible neither to identify the type of cells from which the DNA originated, nor to state when the cells were deposited. It is not possible to make any conclusions about transfer and persistence of DNA in this case. It is not possible to estimate when the suspect last wore the in brackets watch to if it is his DNA, because the DNA test is very sensitive. It is not unexpected to find mixtures. If the potential origins of DNA profiles cannot be identified, it does not necessarily follow that they are relevant to this case, since transfer of cells can occur as a result of casual contact. Now, I think that's really important because casual contact, we don't know whether or not this is touched DNA as in transfer, right? So, and if it's not blood, and because she only is just assuming that it's blood based on the color of it, right? Or the look of it. Yeah. And as I just said earlier, and this is testimony from other times in the case, in the trial, there's other things in this car that look like blood, right? But have been found to not be blood. Right. So say that this is just transfer DNA. And if this is correct, because the DNA test is very sensitive, it's not unexpected to find mixtures. If the potential origins of DNA profile cannot be identified, it does not necessarily follow that they are relevant to the case. Transfer of cells can occur as a result of casual contact. So does that mean that I can just go like that and then touch something else? And it could be like, yeah, exactly. Is that how it works? And so therefore, could it be that he touched her and then she touched that?
Mm-hmm. Or Rosalio was around the kids, got some of his DNA on them, not like in a bad way. I just mean like touched.
Yeah.
Or his DNA's at the apartment, the kids touch it. speck of skin cells, whatever, and then
Yeah.
Rosalia breaks into their van, or the kids go into Zach's van.
Regardless, if it's not blood,
Yeah.
then it doesn't fall in line with the state's story that the corpse was put into the van and his blood splattered up, because that's their story. And I'll show you that in a minute. Okay. All right, moving on from that. There's one other thing, and thank you to David for just sharing this with me. And that is this. Hang on a second. I just had to really quickly put this into my Word. I don't use Word.
Elitist.
I am an elitist, yes. Hang on. Cool. So this. Do you want to read this one?
In People v. Coy. It's plain hard to get. 243 Mitch App 283620 NW2D888200. The Court of Appeals held that it was error to admit DNA typing evidence without accompanying statistical data to permit the jury to correctly interpret the significance of the evidence. Yes, you need a number. 1 in a million, 1 in 10,000, something like that. Just, it's probably it. Now, the court later held that failure to provide statistical evidence of the DNA match was not error when the analyst had given a report to both parties that contained her methodology with the interpretation of the data and her conclusion that the DNA was from the defendant to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty. People versus Urban 321 Mitch App 198908 NW2D5642017.
Okay.
That was the last one I was gonna do, then it came right up. The Michigan Supreme Court vacated that portion of the Urban opinion, finding that the language in the lab report that it can be concluded to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty that the DNA profile is from the same individual met the Coy standard, and holding that Coy requires that when DNA evidence is introduced, it must be accompanied by some qualitative or quantitative interpretation.
Interesting. Okay, so it must be accompanied by some qualitative or quantitative interpretation. So you can't just say it.
Yeah.
Basically. All right. So some data. It must be accompanied by some data. Interesting. So that's in Michigan, obviously. Yeah. It's not in Wisconsin, but anything goes in Wisconsin.
But David did say that to his understanding, Wisconsin uses a similar standard.
You'd think so.
Yeah.
You goddamn think so. I mean, really. To just have someone be allowed to get up on the stand, and I know that she was qualified by the court as an expert, but goodness me, really, I don't even understand how that happened. Yeah. But then to just have the DA say to her, can you please only give me your opinion if it is to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty? She says yes, and then he feeds her the answers, and she goes yes, 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 and then she doesn't have to give anything to accompany those answers. No data whatsoever. And guys, most of us here watch trials. We see forensic experts come onto the stand all the time, and we hear them say numbers. We hear them say, my opinion, but the data shows that this DNA profile matches this individual, and the chances of it not being this individual are within 1 in an octillionth of a percentage or whatever, right? So we hear these ridiculously big numbers thrown out there so that the jury can know that that's the chances of it being wrong, right? We don't hear my opinion within a within, what is it, a reasonable degree of scientific certainty. We don't hear that. Hello. Oh, you want to offer me a promotion? Hi, Candid Mouth 9. Yeah, that's cool. We'll take your promotion. Would you like to help us free Zachariah Anderson? You can donate to the Give Send Go. No problem. And I'll make you a mod.
I wouldn't.
I need somebody to be my mod over on Twitch.
No, I think they're trying to sell or offer you promotions, make you pay for it.
You think? I thought maybe they're going to offer me feet pics in profile. Yeah, click in bio. That was funny. They looked at no one but Zach. Yeah, I know. All right, that's very interesting. Thank you, David, for that information. All right. So moving on. And okay.
Yeah, we need the link. I'll find the link.
To what?
Rompful pod.
Yep. I don't know. Lots of people have been posting Rompful pod already. Okay, so many people have asked, why didn't Zach's team just test the sample themselves? Lots of reasons, but most importantly, this. Now, I'm going to start playing this just so I can get the place, and then I'll swap over to the court feed just a minute.
You stated that they're somewhat attempting to show relevant, whether they had anything tested or not. Burden shifting is a concern.
Is this where he yells at Nicole to get off his lawn?
On the other hand, it is true that the defense, number one, has the right to have items tested and have items tested by the crime lab and or elsewhere. Whether they had anything tested or not. Burden shifting is a concern. On the other hand, it is true that the defense, number one, has the right to have items tested and have items tested by the crime lab and or elsewhere. And number two, unlike the defendant's right of silence, which is constitutionally protected, I'm not aware of any protection to the defendant's decision not to investigate what evidence there might be.
What?
But that, of course, that does coexist with the fact that the defendant doesn't have to prove anything. But
at this point in the trial, I think that he's really lost his marbles, right? Like he can barely get his words out. Just watch him.
When you've raised these issues, then I'm wondering, is it fair game for the state to say, well, if you were so concerned about the inadequacy of the police investigation, what did you do about it?
What did you?
But then how is that not putting a burden on the defense to prove something or explain to the jury why we did or did not do something? It's completely irrelevant. Our whole theory is the theory of it was inadequate policing, inadequate investigation, inadequate.
Anyone hear that?
Of information, those facts exist. Because in the possession of the state, they didn't test it. That doesn't then open the door to be able to say, oh, actually now point the finger at the defense that they didn't test anything. And also then it's forcing us to provide an explanation. And who's supposed to testify to that, Judge?
Well, the issue I think does arise. What evidence do you have that had such an investigation been conducted, it would have led in a different direction.
I have no such evidence. I haven't made a suggestion that it would have. In fact, we've affirmatively suggested the exact opposite, that we tested those items that were appropriate. And of course, every question of the defense, I mean, at this point, there was an hour of cross-examination prior to my question that was all about, did you submit this item to the crime lab? Did you analyze this item? I mean, this has been a theme that has not just been a one-off argument. It has been a theme that has been repeated for now hours in front of this jury. This is a standard question by this prosecution. I have, for whatever, this is prosecutor training 101. You're not allowed to go any further. You have to ask only this question. I know the court has heard me ask this question several times in this courtroom. This question itself, do both sides have an ability to test the items?
Well, I don't know if I have told the jury that.
Yeah, you have.
I told this jury that. I told them at the beginning that everything is intended to be equal, other than the fact that the system is deliberately biased in favor of the defendant, but that both sides have the right to force witnesses. I guess I don't know that I mentioned testing, but certainly I did indicate that we tried to keep things on even keel here.
However, I've been here on prior occasions where the court has said that to juries, where you have indicated to juries that both sides have this ability.
There are people that wouldn't like to hear that you have cited me as precedent.
Well, it feels like the ideal court to do so. But Your Honor, this is for me. There is no case law that prohibits this, and frankly, there isn't a case the court will hear where this is more appropriate as the counter argument. And obviously, it is important that I not shift the burden. I can't say they have an obligation to test or anything that would color it in that fashion. I have to live with both sides have the ability to test. If the defense feels that it is appropriate to test, they have that ability. I'm limited to that argument, and that is as far as I intend to take it. It's a one question of this witness. It might be a question asked to other witnesses in response to certainly lengthy cross-examination of this sort. Of course it is for purposes of the state making an argument later. Yes, that is the point.
Again, what the defense did or did not do is 100% not relevant in this trial.
Yep.
So for the state to try to say, oh, yep, now we may use this as an argument later, their only argument is that the defense could have had this tested and they chose not to.
Yep.
So then we're put in a really weird situation, Judge, where then it seems that one of us have to be called to talk about why we don't do that.
Yep.
And the state's saying that there's no authority to ban this type of questioning, that he's asked this hundreds of times. Well, perhaps the defense counsel has not been adamant about their appropriate objection when it comes to the shifting of a burden. Well, regardless, there's also, and I stand that my objection is firmly rooted in law. I can find a case on the issue as far as burden shifting, requiring the defense to provide information to a jury. But I can also guarantee that there's no authority that allows the prosecutor to ask such questions that are completely irrelevant. Relevancy, as this court is well aware.
I don't know how you can say it's irrelevant when you have,
it's irrelevant.
From the get-go in this case, you've said the case has been improperly or under-investigated.
Sure. So what does me having to do something, how does that change the police investigation? Am I the police?
No.
Okay. So then I'm not accusing myself of doing something wrong. I'm attacking the police investigation. What I did or didn't do has absolutely zero impact on police conduct in their investigation in this case.
Well, the jury has been and will be instructed again that the burden of proof is entirely on the state. And as I said a moment ago, the defendant's right of silence has no replication anywhere else in the array of criminal rights. That is a sacred right.
What's that got to do with it?
And so the fact that he's not permitted to comment on post-arrest silence, it does not follow from that he can't comment on failure to investigate, as long as the jury understands
But I have,
that he continues to carry the burden of proof.
but Judge, it's implying that we have some sort of obligation. And if in closing arguments, he gets up there and tells the jury, this defense could have had this tested and they did not. How is that not shifting the burden to the defense?
Because he's not telling the jury that you had to.
But it's implied. It's going to leave the jurors in the mind of that the defense didn't do something that they're required to do.
I believe me, he's not going to be allowed to tell the jury that the defense was required to conduct any investigation at all. But whether he can plant that seed with them.
But see, that's the problem. Planting a seed for what, Judge? For the conduct that the defense didn't take.
The jury.
How is that permissible under the law?
Yeah.
That's shifting the burden.
No.
We're planting
Now
a seed.
you've got the burden. You've got to tell me why that isn't in accordance with our law.
Because
why?
You just said it, that he can plant the seed. Plant the seed for what? That the defense could have investigated things and didn't, or should have and didn't. And that is completely irrelevant. That's impermissible argument.
When you say irrelevant, that you're suggesting.
Sure, if I may, as the court knows.
Shut up, Judge.
Does it tend to make any fact of circumstance more or less likely, correct?
Well, let's put it in another way. Let's say the state did something suggesting, well, the defendant could have come up on the stand and denied all this. Now, why is that not allowed?
The same thing.
Not because it wouldn't be a persuasive argument in a lot of cases, but because the Constitution says the defendant has that right and the state's not allowed to force him up onto the stand by challenging the jury to disregard the constitutional privilege and hold the defendant to account for his silence. There's a collateral right with respect to failure to investigate. You don't have to investigate, but I think generally the rule is that
okay, this is really frustrating. I'm sorry, guys.
Jury to wonder why something which could have been done wasn't done when you're trying to show the police did a shoddy job.
Okay.
There is a constitutional right to the presumption of innocence.
Right.
And for the state to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the things were committed. The presumption of innocence is that he is presumed innocent. He has no obligation to do anything.
I agree.
So then shifting and saying they could have done something to imply that they had power to do something is contradictory to that presumption.
You didn't have to use the defense that you're using. You could have just said, let them prove it.
But the defense that we're using we're allowed to present any defense that we want. And the defense that we're using does not then forget and get rid of the constitutional rights afforded to my client. So that just because the defense is that law enforcement did not do their job does not mean then that the state can bring in evidence that would be otherwise inadmissible or ask impermissible questions. There's no rule that states when you're attacking the police that law enforcement, that the state then gets to shift blame and plant seeds in a juror's mind that the defense could have done something that they didn't do.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry to have to subject you to more of that than I intended to. But I think everyone was just as mad as I was, and impressed also with Nicole for not letting that go.
That was a very, I mean, it's not easy to go up against a judge like that and that situation, and she fought back, and I commend her for it.
She was a dog with a bone there, and also the thing is that it sounded like Schroeder had just taken a couple of opiates. Like, honestly,
Yeah, sounds like me late Friday night.
yeah,
He was slurring pretty bad.
he was slurring his words really, really badly.
Well, Constitution.
He's basically saying that because you are using the defense that the law enforcement didn't do their job properly, now you have to go do their job. So what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? And that is completely, that is burden shifting. That's 100% burden shifting. And he's going to go and allow the state to plant that seed in the jury's mind. And she is 100% right. That's just not how it works. That's just not how it works. She raised a good appeal there. I don't know. I suppose that's an appellate.
I don't know if
I
it's.
don't know.
Sure. I mean, she put on the record, and yeah, burden shifting.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't understand what's an appellate issue and what's not. I'm not a lawyer, but for me, that's just outrageous. Okay, I just want to move on now. So here we go. So it wasn't really proven that it was Rosalio's blood, right? Well, not as far as the state was concerned, and that's what the jury heard in the end. Yeah, okay, so I'm gonna now just push forward to day 15, and I'm going to push forward to a moment that made a lot of us really upset. This moment right here.
Much blood on the rug. And so you figured out how you're going to transport him over. I don't know if you're using a tool or if you're just lifting him yourself, whatever way you are moving a body that you've planned for, the body of Rosalio Gutierrez, wrapped in a rug, utilizing the duct tape and the rope that you brought, that your own daughter said was down in your basement when she left on this very same weekend. Using those supplies, you are leaving. But when you take this unwieldy dead man, when you take him and you place him in the very back of your van, Rosalio Gutierrez and his DNA splash up. When you take him and you set him down, there's the tiniest of splashes.
Wow.
It's on the passenger side, halfway up that console. There's the tiniest speck of a splash that falls off as you set Rosalio Gutierrez's body down.
Wow.
It's almost imperceptible.
Yeah.
But it's there, and it's in exactly the same location as the cutout carpet as that body was stored. And in the end, it reveals much of what a jury needs to know.
Almost imperceptible. Hey, yep. John. A tool like a freaking forklift. Yeah. I had to go from the Lisa Traffinger moment straight. I had to jump to the closing argument because that is what the jury ended up hearing, right? So they ended up hearing this is the last things, these are the last moments before they went into the deliberation room, and it was solidified for them the things that they'd been hearing, the arguments they've been hearing all along. He's a bad man. He was a stalker. He hated this Rosalio. He brought his daughter along and had her look inside their window and all this kind of stuff. So all this stuff that they build up over this period of however many days. What day are we up to? Day 15 at this point. And then Gravely gets up and he's like, and this unwieldy man, he picks him up, and a speck of his blood DNA rises up and ends up on the inside of Zachariah's van. There you go. Right? And he just says it, just like that. He just says it. And that's all. That's it. It's just done. It's just done. It doesn't matter that it's not true. It doesn't matter that it's not scientifically proven. They just hear it. And you know what? I watched this piece and some of the other pieces back, not just on Veilhammers. I had a little bit of a look on Law and Crimes, and I saw the chat from last year, and they were all just like, oh, he's so done. He's so toast. He was definitely stalking. He's so guilty. Like, people were so convinced by this point. They bought it hook, line, and sinker. It's disgusting. Hello. Oh, you're in the Rumble chat? Hey, really? It works? It's working? Is Rumble working? Oh my goodness, that's exciting. Sorry to get excited in the middle of all that. Sorry for spamming. You're not spamming, Rox. No, it's fine. No. Please, it's fine. Okay. So that's how you go from an opinion to beyond a reasonable doubt, guys. Oops. And how this guy got his reputation as the best corpse hider in Kenosha history. Yeah. All those things just flew off him like magic. Is Zach the murderer? Is Zach the murderer? No, don't think so. I believe he's not, and regardless, he certainly wasn't proven so, and definitely not by that scientist. Definitely not by that scientist, that's for sure. Join us for part 7 next week. Damn, that made me mad. That whole thing just made me really mad. Join us for part 7 next week of Zachariah Anderson, Not a Murderer, An Urgent Fight for Justice. Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Fridays, 8:30 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And make sure that you're around at 10 p.m. tonight for Barely Interesting. Whilst it's not a nice anniversary right now, it is the anniversary of Zach's trial. That was 1 year ago this month. And that's why there are several channels at the moment running Zach content. And that's great, because there should be as many people as possible knowing about this. We can't let this go, guys. And so David is running it on his channel. By the way, we'll talk about that in a minute. Save MLS, but he has other channels as well. Everyone subscribe to Lego Law, subscribe to, what's the other one?
God of Law.
God of Law. So the trial is running every day. And also we have, Solomon's channel that's running it. Solomon's channel is running Barely Interesting, as is David, at 10 p.m. Eastern each night. And Branka, I'm sure, will be back to running the trial again now that the Apple River trial is over. Branka was absolutely providing some excellent insight into the trial. So everyone make sure that you're subbed up to him too. It's wonderful to have more eyes on this. So moving on, I want to just give a shout out to the Wrongful Podcast. Wrongful Podcast is a fantastic place to just pop your earbuds in and listen. It's only a like 5 or 6 episodes. Really good way to get your head around what happened, and just get a good understanding of the circumstances of this situation, of the incident and the trial and what happened. So yeah, great introduction to it and wonderful work by Josie and team. So make sure that you grab that one, Wrongful Podcast. If we could have that link in chat, that'd be fantastic. Mods. Hi guys, you're awesome. And I believe that they are going to be on the Barely Interesting show tonight. So that's great. Also, I wanted to give a shout out to Bill Hammer. Bill Hammer, you're amazing. I know you're super busy right now, but we got to chat to you yesterday in the Discord. It was awesome. Great to have Bill Hammer's work. Thank you, Bill Hammer. Make sure that if you're watching any of the trials, that you watch them on his channel because he does amazing work. The other thing I wanted to say is keep supporting Crime Circus and his Innocent Lives Matter playlist. He's getting this stuff out to so many new eyes, and please look out for his comment section. There are plenty of people who don't believe that Zachariah Anderson is not guilty, and they're putting horrible things into the comment section. Please get in there and put them right. That would be fantastic. Thank you, Murph, for wrongfulpod.com. And one more thing. It only takes a moment to tweet Team YouTube and tell them to hashtag free MLS from Copyright Strike Purgatory. Please go do that, guys. It only takes a second. And apart from the fact we love David, he's got a lot of free Zachariah Anderson stuff on his main channel, Making Law Simple Network. And whilst I'm sure he's downloading all of the Zachariah Anderson content and putting them on his other channels, it's hard to build up the kind of traction that you get when you have a channel with 7,000 subscribers and a lot of watch hours behind it. So the YouTube algorithm takes a while to get used to a newer channel. So it's important, and it's just the right thing to do to support your friends in that. So we all love David. He's been wonderful to us and to the Zachariah Anderson community. Let's get out there and support him. All it takes is to get out there and tweet about it. Hopefully that's all it takes. We'll see. We'll see. Hey David, how's it going? Love ya. Love you, love you, love you. Okay, and the very last thing always is every dollar helps. Please give generously. Please give generously. Zach's Defense Fund still needs your support, guys. Still needs your support. So there we go, David's second channel.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, he still needs your support, everybody. It's not going to stop anytime soon. So yeah, it's unfortunately we can reach the smaller in between goals, but we're still a long way from him getting his full amount that he needs for his appeal. So Solomon, where are we up to right now? Are you still here? Or Jen, can you give us a bit of an idea?
I can find out.
Yeah, that'd be good. Let's have a little quick look.
Oh wow, 60,000.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's
Wow.
wonderful. Yeah, but the thing about that is, like, whilst that's great,
There's still a lot more.
there's still a lot more. Yeah. So there's still plenty more to go. And every time that there's a motion or a hearing or something like that, it's about $50,000 to go to have your defense counsel there with you. Obviously, we have really wonderful defense counsel. Natalie Wisco's on board. But yeah, it's hard. And then to go up to, if it goes up to the Supreme Court level, that's everything all over again. So it costs a lot of money, guys. It costs a lot. Okay, we're gonna raid Mo. Mo's live. Looks like. Yeah, Nightly Newsy News is on. Let's go and raid Mo and say hi. You and Darlie raid. Hey. And that's the end of that. It's going to be awesome. Guys, thank you so much. It's been so lovely having you all here. And thank you also to everyone on Rewatch. We've been getting really good rewatch numbers on these, which is fantastic. That means that
Great.
we've got lots of new eyes on this. So that's fantastic. And yeah, lots of people coming in the comments and saying thank you for introducing us to this and things. So that's what I want. That's what this is all about. New eyes on
Yes.
this. Yes, it is. Okay, thanks everybody. Have a wonderful day. Let's go see Mo.